Hey guys, what's up? This is Darklaw's Domain here. I just want to say sorry I haven't made any new videos as of late. I actually just moved recently, and I've been trying to get accustomed to my new place. Also, I've been working on something big for another video, which I'm going to be doing a review of Mega Man X on the Super Nintendo. Although I'm going to be doing it on the Mega Man X Collection on PS4, so yeah, but anyways, so yeah, not much else I can say at the very moment. I might just do a little channel update in between, but I just wanted to show you some more collection stuff. I'm gonna do like an updated collection because I ended up getting more games for system. That is my PS4 collection. As you can see, I don't have a ton of games here, just about 15, I believe. But I got some really solid stuff here, and yeah, I did add a few more games to my system, and I do intend on increasing the collection very soon, because I'm going to get Kingdom Hearts 3 next month, and I'm very freaking excited for it. So, let's get started with the collection, shall we? The first game I have for the PS4 is Monster Hunter World. I love this game. I haven't played the Monster Hunter games in quite some time before I got this. The last one I played was Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate on the 3DS, and I liked it, but didn't really like it enough to keep playing it. Especially since my sister played it a lot, and I just kind of got bored of it after a while. And Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate really didn't do any favors for me either, and neither did Monster Hunter Generations or stuff like that, but this one actually, I saw my cousin play this, and I actually really enjoyed what I was seeing. It looks a lot better, a lot bigger, and when I got to playing it, I was genuinely surprised. I wasn't expecting it to be that great, but it actually turned out to be really freaking good. And I'm so happy I got to play this, because it is a lot of fun. It has a bit more of an RPG-like element to it than it did before. I've always considered the game more of an action-adventure kind of shindig, but this one feels more like an RPG to me. I love the monster battles. They're just so much fun to do, even though some of them can be quite frustrating. I love the weapon usage. It's a lot more fun to use weapons in this game, and everything feels unique, which is great. I also really like the bowgun combat here. I've been using that and the charge blade, which the bowgun combat's been streamlined a lot to make it a lot more easier to use, and I think that's great because, honestly, I've always found the bowgun combat in the previous games to be rather cumbersome. But this game just did it right, and I think it was just perfect. The game is also really beautiful. I mean, it's one of the best looking games on the system. It is just a lot of fun to play. And you can get it for $30 right now. You get your money's worth. Even though it's made by a bigger company like Capcom, where it should cost about like $60, it didn't cost that much on release, which I think was kind of interesting because it cost $40 on release, which is how much I paid for this. But then it dropped the price to $10, and now it's $30, which I think is great. So if you can get it, highly recommend it. It's an awesome game. Probably the best Monster Hunter I've ever played. Next game I got is the Spyro Reignited Trilogy. I was really super hyped for this game when I first heard about it, especially considering this is my childhood remastered or remade, and I was very excited for it. I used to play the Spyro games on PS1 all the freaking time, and I beat 2 out of 3 of them, but I didn't beat Ripto's Rage. I beat the first one and Year of the Dragon, but I didn't beat Ripto's Rage because I found that game to be incredibly frustrating. But 1 and 3 I really enjoyed and I finished, but Year of the Dragon's a lot harder than I remembered it, which is weird because I beat it when I was a kid, but then I get older and I'm like, whoa, what the hell happened? But so what did I think about this? This game is honestly really good. I was expecting it to be good, but I wasn't expecting it to be this good. I mean, this game impressed the shit out of me. I love the original games on PS1. They're still fun to play today, and it just goes to show how well they've aged. This game really delivers on a lot of fronts. It gives it a fresh coat of paint. Like, everything looks so much better now. Controls have been refined, and a lot of problems that plagued the original games were fixed here. almost entirely, for the most part. I do have a couple of minor issues, though, like one of them being the botched release, the physical release, because it did not contain all 3 games on one disc. It only contained the first Spyro game in its entirety on here, and then the other 2 were just only the first couple of levels, and then they just half-assed it by allowing the rest of them to be downloaded, which I thought was stupid. I was very enraged about this, but I was going to get it physically anyway because I prefer getting my stuff physically anyway when I can. If it's digital only, then I'll get it digitally, but if I have any access to getting a physical release, if I can purchase a physical release, I'm getting a damn physical release. And that's what I did here. So my bounds were not swayed. I mean, I hate that it was botched, but at least the game is actually really freaking good. I mean, really, even better than, it's really great. I absolutely love this. The games not only look better, but they play better, and there's just a lot of great stuff they add in there. And I also love that Spyro still has his original voice actor, Tom Kenny, who voiced SpongeBob in the show. Rest in peace, Steven Hillenburg. But he didn't voice Spyro in the first game, but in the second, he was voiced by Carlos Alazraqui in the first game, but in the second and third game, he was voiced by Tom Kenny. And he reprised his role in all 3 games here, and I think his voice work is even better here. There's a lot of attention to detail here, and it's pretty impressive. I was quite enamored by it. And right now, I'm currently in the process of trying to finish Spyro the Dragon 100%. I already beat the game, but I'm trying to 100% it. And yeah, it's taken a bit for me, but I'm working on it. I really love this collection. It's just so good. Such an amazing package. For $40, you get your money's worth with that. I don't think this could have been priced any better. I think this was perfect. I'm so glad I bought this. I was not expecting it to be that great, especially considering how badly Activision fucked up the release of the physical version. But Toys for Bob wasn't going to let this game go undercooked. They actually worked their asses off for this, and I'm really glad they did. So, yeah. Also, another issue I had with this game was loading times. I think they're a little bit longer than they should be. Like, in the PS1 version, they were very fast, and in the PS4 version, it just seems a little bit... It just feels a little long. It's kind of weird, because it's a PS4. We've kind of gone past the slow loading time shit now. Especially with what the PS3 had, but seeing that loading times are a bit long was a bit intrusive for me. It didn't really break the flow of the game too much. It was just slightly intrusive, kind of like Crash Bandicoot and Insane Trilogy's load times, but it wasn't horrible. I mean, you could do a lot worse. The loading times are not that bad, they're just not great. They're just not as fast as they were in the PS1 release, but it's still a really solid game otherwise, so yeah. Botched physical release and slightly intrusive loading times aside, and also the occasional mess up with the hover controls, which I thought felt a little bit wonky and finicky. The game aims themselves, they're great, and I'm really glad that the game actually delivered on my expectations, and then some. Alright, I've rambled on about this game enough. Let me move on to the next game. Horizon Zero Dawn. I'm currently playing through this one right now, and I'm absolutely loving it. I bought this game for $20 at Walmart. Yeah, this is the complete edition right here, which contains all the DLC and some extra content. Like it actually gives you this really nice PS4 dynamic theme, which I have as my current theme on PS4 right now, and it looks amazing. It also even includes a digital art book, which is kind of cool. And it's just, yeah. Anyways, the game is awesome. One of my favorite games on the PS4 so far. I've played the absolute shit out of this, and I'm still playing through it. I'm really enjoying it. I love the lush, colorful environments. I love the combat. It's just so much fun to play, and crafting is actually really fun to do. There's a lot of materials you can gather to create weapons, armor, and a bunch of other stuff. It's very neat, and I love the storytelling. It is quite interesting. I love this setting, this set piece. It's just freaking. You're basically going back. You're basically. It's like several, like 1,000 years into the future, and basically tech has mostly been destroyed, and now people are kind of living in the age of the Native Americans again, and it's a very interesting take on the apocalypse, not apocalyptic per se, but it's a really interesting take on the future, and I think that was quite cool. And also the enemy designs are really nice. They look really good, and they actually do perceive themselves as a threat. It's a very tough game. I mean, you can seriously get your ass handed to you if you're not careful, but it's fair, and it doesn't pull any dirty tricks to make the experience a big mess. So I'm at least thankful for that. This is just a fantastic game. There's a lot of praise I have about this game. I love this game too much. It's just really there isn't much bad I can say about it. It's that good. It's a freaking amazing game. Next game I have is Guilty Gear XR Revelator, which is a really solid fighting game. I absolutely loved it. One of my favorite fighting games this generation. I love the art style. It is so damn beautiful to look at, and not to mention, I love the 3D animation. It's got like this really interesting mix of really interesting mix of two-dimensional drawings. It's got this really interesting cell shading to it. It's a cell shaded game, but at first glance it doesn't really look like it, but it actually has plenty of cell shading in it, and the cell shading is actually really good. It looks almost exactly like a damn anime. Kind of like Knights of Sidonia on Netflix, which is really good. I highly recommend you try that. It reminds me a lot of that, and it's just really well represented here. Everything looks beautiful, and even in Unreal Engine, so I love the Unreal Engine, honestly. It's just so good. And it makes the game, it not only makes the games run smooth, but it makes the games look smooth as well. Everything, it just looks beautiful. And how the game plays. The game is not what you would expect from your average fighter. It does still have the standard weapon elements and stuff that you would see in games like Soul Calibur and Samurai Showdown, but with a bigger twist but with a heavier emphasis on hard rock and metal. Not to mention, it's a lot more technical and a lot more complex. So there's a lot more thought put into it. You got to play a bit more methodically here, and I honestly don't have a problem with it. I thought it was a interesting change of pace, and this is one of those games where the tutorial actually feels really nice. I mean, you have to play through that first, but the tutorial is actually kind of interesting. So if you play this game, you'll see what I mean, but it is interesting, and once you do get into the meat of it, it's just a lot of fun. You want to learn more about it, and the cool thing is, it's also very friendly for newcomers as well, because you have like two different styles you can utilize to fight. One is the simplistic one, which allows the button inputs to be more simple, and you can be able to perform a lot of special moves with that kind of combat, and the technical one, which is the core gameplay of it, and I think it's really neat. I love the music too. It's got a really nice mix between hard rock, metal, and orchestral pieces. I think it's got some techno tracks in here too as well. I'm not entirely sure. I don't quite remember. I'm drawing a blank here, but I love this game. It is just so much damn fun to play, and I love the characters. There's only 23 characters within the entire game, but they did it so well here. Like, it's quality over quantity here, and I think it is awesome. Guilty Gear has always done that, and that's what I love about the franchise. Not to mention, there's a ton of lore here. I mean, if you want to learn more about the Guilty Gear franchise, this game has an encyclopedia that is dedicated to telling you everything you need to know about Guilty Gear. And I think it is just fantastic. It is a really nice bonus. The content's not huge, but what is there is great stuff. The only problem with this game is the online is that it's hard to find people online, so I don't really get to play with people online often. Probably because Xrd Revelator 2 is out now and people are playing that. So, I don't know, but hey, fuck it. Guilty Gear Xrd. Really fun fighting game. And just really good story. Very rich lore. Plenty of great characters. A great soundtrack. It's amazing. I absolutely love it. Okay, I've rambled on too much about that game. Let me go on to the next one. Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection. This game contains all the Street Fighter games from the first one from 1987 all the way up to Third Strike from 1999. Which, I think this is a really solid compilation of games. Because you have all these arcade Street Fighter games, except for the EX games. Those are not included here, but everything else in terms of Street Fighter, well, and it doesn't have the movie game either, but there was probably a good reason for that not being included because it was shit. But everything in here is essential, and it's just a really good compilation of games in here. Like, everything is here. Everything that is good is here. Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 3, Street Fighter Alpha 1, 2, and 3, the Super versions of Street Fighter 2. There's a lot of iterations of Street Fighter 2, but they are all included here, and every iteration of Street Fighter 3 is included in here too. And honestly, this compilation is just great because every game actually plays how they're supposed to with barely any emulation issues, which I thought was great. A couple of minor hiccups here and there, but not very noticeable. And they all play very well too. There's no input lag whatsoever, and it just feels nice. If you're wondering what my favorite Street Fighter game is, I would definitely say Street Fighter Alpha 3, Street Fighter Alpha 2, and Super Street Fighter 2. Those are my favorite games in the franchise. Especially on, or at least my favorite Street Fighter games on here. So, yeah, Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection. It's only $30 right now, so, and I think you get a lot of bang for your buck. There's plenty of games to choose from, and there's also a lot of bonus content here, too, so definitely get it. It's worth it. Resident Evil 4. This is without question my favorite game in the series. I love this one to death. I love the atmosphere, and I love the, and I felt that the third-person style of shooting, or the third-person in perspective, was a welcome change. I mean, sure, it does sort of get rid of the limited tank control movement of the original games from Resident Evils 1 through 3, but I think the change here in RE4 with a third-person shooter style was very welcome, and it actually blends in a good balance between action and horror, which they would later kind of screw up in the later games, because RE5 and RE6, RE5 was trying too hard to focus on the horror and didn't have very good resource management, not to mention bullets were extremely fucking sparse. And Resident Evil 6 was just way too action-heavy, and you felt too overpowered at times because you would get so much freaking bullets. And also the campaigns were a bit hit or miss. Leon's was the best, Chris's was the worst. Ada's was alright, and Jake's was actually pretty decent. I'll talk more about the game someday, I don't know, but I have a lot to say about that game. But moving on with this, RE4 is just a really awesome game. It has a nice mix between action and horror. It has really solid resource management. You gotta be careful with what you do with your weapons and your items. You never know when you're gonna use them, or you never know which one will be useless. So keep what you need and throw away what you don't need. Not only that, but this is a really good remastering of the original game. I used to have the original game on PS2, but it broke, so I threw my old copy away and got this. And I'm really happy I did because I'm experiencing this game for the first time in years in full 60 FPS. Now, nothing beats having the original game on the PS2 or GameCube, but this is the next best thing for me, and I think it was really good experiencing this with high quality graphics and whatnot. I mean, it just feels very smooth. Like, maybe it's the definitive way to play this game, I don't know, but it's still a really solid version for sure. Really solid game, and yeah, in case you're wondering, this game actually does scare the shit out of me at times. But that's good because it just shows how well this game has aged. It shows the horror effects very well, and I think RE4 is the best Resident Evil game because of it. Now, I also really like RE2 as well. That's one of my favorites, and I'm excited for the remake that's coming out. But RE4 was just so much fun to play. So I felt that one deserved my standing for the best Resident Evil game. That's just my opinion, though. Oh boy. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5. Oh my god. This game. This game is just awful. This is without question one of the worst games I've played this generation for sure. One of the things I hate about this is how bare bones it is. There's not enough content to keep me interested. Basically, everything that made the Tony Hawk games fun is nowhere to be found, and that's a real shame because I loved the Tony Hawk series. I played the crap out of these games when I was in middle school and even in high school. But then to see this come out made me very sad because the game turned out to be a steaming pile of shit. And it wasn't fun. I really didn't enjoy the game. I mean, even Creative Skater has been completely axed. And that's sad because Creative Skater was a big thing in the franchise ever since Pro Skater 2. So the fact that they just completely took the bare bones basics the bare bones basic gameplay and threw everything else away is just sad. How can a game that was released in 2015 be so much more bare bones and boring than a game that was released in 2001? I'm talking about Pro Skater 3. And even Pro Skater 4 had a lot of good stuff. While I don't... Whether I like Pro Skater 3 more than 4 or Pro Skater 4 more than 3 is honestly a question I can't answer because I love them both and I've played them both and I think they're both really good for different reasons. But Pro Skater 5 is... This doesn't deserve to have the Pro Skater 5 name. It's not even a Pro Skater game. It's just bland, boring, generic BS with a lot of glitches and a really useless slam mechanic. There's nothing here. I would not recommend getting this. The only reason I got this was because my brother gave it to me as a gag gift. So, yeah. Mass Effect Andromeda. Okay, I know a lot of people absolutely hate this game, but from what I played of it, it wasn't that bad. Sure, it isn't as good as the first 3 Mass Effect games on the PS3, but I still had fun with it. I haven't played much of it, though, and the only reason for that is just because of how much space this game takes up. And my PS4's hard drive is not very big. It only has 500 gigabytes, and I need to get at least a 2 or 3 terabyte hard drive, because I'm gonna be increasing my collection to the highest common denominator at the moment, because, well, yeah, I love the PS4. It's just a great system. But Andromeda isn't a bad game. I actually did enjoy it. It has its problems, and it definitely isn't as good as the first 3, but for a Mass Effect game, if this is the worst they did, you could do much worse. So, yeah. Uncharted 4. I actually haven't played this yet, and the only reason I haven't is because I'm not even done with the first game, and I want to at least get through the rest of the games in the series before I play this one, so yeah, I know it sounds like I'm holding off on it, I'm missing out, especially considering that Uncharted is considered one of the best game franchises, but honestly, I just want to be able to know what is going on, instead of going right in from 1 to 4 and then just being confused. Killzone Shadowfall. Haven't played this one either. I don't know why. I just haven't gotten around to it. I've heard it's not that great compared to the previous Killzone games on the PS3, but I still want to give it a shot, so yeah. Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy. I briefly mentioned this before when talking about the Spyro Reignited Trilogy, and I do think the Reignited Trilogy was a slightly better package, but the Insane Trilogy is still great. I absolutely love this compilation. I didn't get to play the Crash games a lot when I was younger, because I was more of a Spyro guy than anything. Especially because my family grew up on Spyro, but I did play my fair share of Crash games back in the day. Even though I played more of Crash Bandicoot: The Wrath of Cortex, Tag Team Racing, and Twin Sanity, but I do have Warped on PS1. Just have it downloaded on my PS3. And I played a little bit of the first game, but the first game is really dated now. But this game really improved upon the controls for the previous entries. It feels more precise. It feels a lot more. It just feels a lot less static. It's a lot more. It controls a lot more tightly. It's a lot more on the nose, and I think that is just great. Not to mention the games look amazing. And it's just a lot of fun to play. I did finish Crash 1 on this compilation. I haven't finished Crash 2 yet. I'm very close to finishing it, but I haven't gotten around to it lately just because Spyro's been taking up my time. I played a little bit of Warped on here, and it is an amazing game. I've played Warped before on PS1. It's an awesome game. And it's really good on here, too. So, yeah, you really get some bang for your buck. It's quite a good game. Highly recommend checking it out. Doom. Oh my god, I absolutely love this game. This is one of the best FPS games to come out in quite some time. I mean, this game really brought back what made Doom so great. I mean, the fact that you don't even need to reload in order to, yeah, you don't even need to reload. The high intensity action is all there. The gore is just as intense as ever, except now you can finish your enemies off in a more gorier fashion, which is quite satisfying actually. There's plenty of interesting modes to distract you from the campaign. It's quite cool. You don't have to get sucked into the story. You could just play the game for the gameplay and have a hell of a time here. And also the game looks really good, and the soundtrack is just absolutely amazing. This is a really brilliant FPS. I had so much fun playing this. The arcade style experience, the fact that it harkens back to its roots from the early days of the first game on the PC, but also mixing in some modern technologies together, or somewhere to make this, was a brilliant concoction. I think it was awesome. My only complaint with this is that it takes up way too much damn space on the frickin' system. Like, if you download the, if you update this game, like, have the updates included and whatnot, it takes up to, like, 7... If you don't have a very good, if you're unlucky enough to have, like, a 500 gigabyte PS4, you're not going to be able to carry that much space. And this thing takes, like, about 70 to 80 gigs, which isn't as much as Red Dead 2, but that's, like, a third of the hard drive taken up already, and I don't have an external yet. But I love this game. It is just so much fun to play, and it's so fast-paced. The story is really good, but it's not needed to enjoy the experience. And it's just a really damn good game. I highly recommend checking it out. Shadow of Mordor. This is also a really good game. I haven't played a ton of it, but from what I have played of it, it is really fun. I like the I like the game. I like the combat system. It reminds me a lot of the Batman Arkham games on the PS3, and I had a ton of fun with it. And I also really like the Nemesis system. I thought that was pretty sweet. Fighting can be a little bit stiff at times, but once you get used to it, it really isn't that bad. And I love the story and the narrative. It's just cool stuff, and a lot of and just it just puts an even darker turn on the Lord of the Rings universe, and I think it is just really freaking cool. So yeah, definitely worth checking it out. Though the only reason I have the vanilla version is just because it was cheaper, and I wanted to save a few bucks. So yeah. And last but not least, Mega Man X Legacy Collection 1 and 2. I'm counting this as two games here because of the way they're packaged and because the games are indeed separate. Kind of like what the Legacy Collection for the classic games were like. But I have been playing this very relentlessly for the past 3 months, although this one I haven't really played it much at all because I'm stuck on the worst game in the series on the X series, which is X7. I finished 1 through 6. And I really enjoyed 1 through 5, but didn't enjoy 6 very much. I thought it was insanely frustrating and just outright bullshit with its poor level design and rather easy boss fights. X7 I just found terrible for entirely different reasons because the game plays very slowly, controls feel broken, and not only that, the level designs are just god-awful. So, I had a lot of issues with that game. Not to mention, it irritated me so damn much, I haven't even finished X7 yet. I will get back to it, it soured me so freaking bad, so... Yeah, but my favorite X game in this series would definitely have to be X4. I also really like X1 a lot too, which X1 I said in the beginning of this video I'm doing a review on. I'm just not done with it yet. It's like 25% finished. I just got started on it like last week, but I'm working on it. Just don't worry. I just want to get X7. Oops, I dropped it. I just want to get X7 over with so I can go play X8 and see what I think about that, because I've heard X8 is actually really good and it's a return to form for the series. But I haven't really played but like 10 minutes of it, so I can't really say much, but it looks really good, so yeah. But I have finished X1 through 6, and while X6 is not a very good game, I did enjoy X's 1 through 5. Yes, I really enjoyed X5. The structure of the story is kind of all over the place at times, but it isn't bad. And I do love most of the stages, except for Bolt Kraken. He can jump off a cliff. Hate that stage. And I really didn't like Duff McWhalen's stage either, or Tidal Whale. I didn't like that. It was just... that water level is just... it pisses me off. The boss fight's okay. It's just the stage preceding that kind of sucks. But this collection is really solid because it contains all the Mega Man X games from 1 through 8, except for Command Mission in the Extreme games, and, well, the remake of Mega Man X1, which is Maverick Hunter X on PSP. But it has all the mainline X games, and it's really cool. There's also quite a bit of bonus content, and there's even a short film called The Day of Sigma, which is which was actually a bonus feature on Maverick Hunter X, and they put it in here, and I think that is really freaking cool. There's also an X Challengers mode, which is kind of interesting, and it allows you to fight bosses from X's 1 through 6, which I think I can do, considering I have been able to get through these games, I can actually try my hand at that, see how I do. Although I have tried it before. It's really weird because you gotta go up against like 2 boss fights, and it's an interesting concept, but in practice it's a little bit messy, but I will give it another shot. Anyways, if you love the X series and want to revisit them, this is easily the most accessible way to do it, and I highly recommend checking it out because it is just awesome. You do get your money's worth, and it's just so much fun. So yeah, that is my PS4 collection. Not a lot of games, and I did talk more about certain games than I needed to, but I wasn't going to half-ass my opinions on these games, so yeah. Anyways, that is my PS4 collection. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will add more to it. So thank you guys for watching. Next collection video will be on my Nintendo 64 collection, so stay tuned for that. Take care, everybody.